Estamos preocupados porque nuestros hijos no se comunican con nosotros. No saben.
Because our children just do not communicate with us. We don't know who they go out with. How can we better communicate with them? Our daughter is 12 and she's always busy. Maybe I should get a Facebook account. I think we are giving too much to our children, but how can we do so that they don't feel inferior to their peers? Why doesn't my son obey us? How can we talk about sexuality with them? How can I help the families in my parishes? Don't worry, we have the answers to your questions. Really? Escuela de Familias is a project of the delegation Familia Vida of the Archdiocese of Toledo. It is not a real school. It's a formation process where the whole family works on different themes. There is one session a month over 4 years. The first year is a presential. Different families in the delegation goes to their parishes in order to give talks. The other sessions are conducted online. The themes tackled have to do with the education of children, something that concerns parents very much. What we try to do is that, those married couples that are detached from the church go back to the church. It is a beautiful process where the whole family enjoys it and grows. There are many who are already experiencing this, and many more married couples are subscribing. And in many other dioceses, this methodology of family schools is being adopted now. So go to our website. There you will get all the necessary information to start this beautiful project.
El vídeo que acabamos de ver
The video which we have just seen presenting the Family Schools project of the Archdiocese of Toledo, Spain, has been presented with many questions that parents ask themselves in the face of the great challenge and the great task that is the education of children. Pope Francis, in the exhortation Amoris Laetitia in chapter 7, also asks, where are the children? Where is their soul? Do we know that? And above all, do we want to know? This is the big question, to become aware of our mission as parents, because the function of educating children is unavoidable on the part of parents. Why did the family schools arise in our diocese of Toledo? Because of the need to help to guide parents in the education of their children. The project was conceived as a way of approaching families far away from the church, and we use the education of their children as the perfect hook to make them discover that the church, which is mother, helps them in one of the most important tasks of their lives, the education of their children. When we began to develop the project, it became necessary not only to help the parents, but the results would be better if the children also attended the sessions adapted to their needs, in addition to the parents. And this is why they are called family schools. The family schools follow the indication of Amoris Laetitia in the development of the different themes as follows. In Amoris Laetitia 259, it says, about how we have to carry out our function of educating our children consciously, enthusiastically, reasonably, and appropriately. To educate consciously means that we know the goal to which we want to direct the lives of our children. The family schools help families to be conscious of what the goal is. By baptism, our children are children of God, and their goal is heaven. To educate consciously means that I educate my children so that with their feet on the ground, they choose at every moment what brings them closer to heaven. Therefore, this is the first thing, and this is the starting point of the family schools. Our children are a gift that God has entrusted to us in order to lead them towards heaven, and therefore we have to educate them reasonably and appropriately in accordance with that end, and thus direct respect all the decisions they can make in their lives, however insignificant they may be, without forgetting and bearing in mind that they are not just anything. They have to choose according to the dignity they have. They are children of God. When one is aware of what the goal is, it is much easier to take the steps of daily action, and thus those steps will be carried out reasonably and appropriately. And thus, each child will have, as Amoris Laetitia in number 261 points out, only in this way will children come to possess the wherewithal needed to fend for themselves and to act intelligently and prudently whenever they meet with difficulties. Enthusiastically means that joy must always be present at home. In the family schools, this enthusiastic way that Pope Francis emphasizes is raised in the different themes and how we can educate and demand with enthusiasm. It is much easier to choose from here. It is our children feel, if our children feel important for God, this will be the driving force and at the same time the compass that pushes them and guides them in their decisions. The Family School Project considers carrying out the education of children with patient realism according to number 271. Ordinarily, this is done by proposing small steps that can be understood, accepted, appreciated, while including a proportionate sacrifice. In this sense, we work on concrete themes of the ordinary path of life of a family, and focusing on them, we propose small steps for which it is necessary to give a formation in different themes to the parents. For example, one of the themes is obedience, because in this theme it is necessary to start from what obedience is in such a way that once its importance in the family is understood and valued, the home environment is better, even if it often means a proportionate sacrifice. The family schools also consider what AL considers in number 273, that is, changing a child's behavior involves a gradual process, and that is why when a subject is dealt with, on the one hand, the respect for the achievement by a child is considered, but also respect and demands according to the different ages, as it is not the same to work on a virtue at the age of 3-year-old as in adolescence. This is considered in the different sessions. In the family schools, as we read in the 274, the family is the best school of human values, so where we learn to the wise use of freedom. The family is the first school of human values in which the good use of freedom is learned. And that means that our children learn that when faced with any aspect or decision in their lives, they can choose, and not on the basis of I do it because I feel like it, but that they say I choose this because it is good, because it makes me a better person. In 275, it is pointed out that one of the most important tasks of the family is to provide an education in hope, and adds, when we are taught to postpone some things until the right moment, we learn self-mastery and detachment from our impulses. Teaching each of our children to be master of themselves means educating in virtues, a key theme in the family schools. It is necessary that we parents know what virtues to encourage and how to do it in the face of what is often offered to us in the day-to-day. Immediacy, the rush to get everything at the moment. In the face of today's impatience, we must educate in the ability to wait, being aware that the important thing is self-mastery. Our children must learn that the size of a person is marked by willpower and not by the I want it and I'll have it that is so fashionable in our world. In the family schools, we also work on the critical spirit of which AL 274 speaks. In the family, we can also learn to be critical about certain messages sent by the various media. Thus, a message that is repeated in different sessions is that in order for our children to be able to choose in a critical way the messages that may be coming to them from the world in which we live, it is necessary to dedicate time to be with them and to talk about the topics that arise or that interest them. One aspect that we find in 278 is that the educational process that occurs between parents and children can be helped or hindered by the increase in sophistication of the communication and entertainment media. In other words, it draws our attention to technology. The new technologies and social networks is a topic that is worked on in one of the first sessions of the family schools. In the family schools, families are helped on the subject of affective sexual education. In number 284 states that sex education is treated too lightly. Aware that as parents, we are the first educators, the family schools shed light on and guide this reality. And last but not least is the transmission of the faith. In 287, we read, the home must continue to be the place where we learn to appreciate the meaning and beauty of the faith. Our families must be a place where God is present. So one of the themes of the family schools is your family and one more, referring to God, to make parents aware that in a Christian family, we cannot live as if God did not exist. God must be present in our family, because in our family, we are one more. That is why we do not leave him out in decision making, and it is that presence that will lead our children to act at all times with a look of faith. How are the family schools organized? In number 200, we read that Christian families, by the grace of the sacrament of matrimony, are the principal agents of the family apostolate. Therefore, the material of the family schools is developed on themes that have been prepared by married couples, and they are also taught by married couples. That is to say, families are not only the object, but also the subject of evangelization. The material of the family schools is elaborated for 4 courses, family schools 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each course consists of 7 topics. As for the topics in the family schools 1 and 2, basic principles of education, social networks, school habits and performance, obedience, affective sexual education, family communication, the role of the extended family, children's friendships, education in virtues, faith in the family, discernment, and the call to love and the commitment of the family in society and in the church are worked on. The themes of family schools 3 and 4 are focused on marriage. How did we develop the themes for the family schools? In the elaboration of the themes, we have been guided by pastoral creativity. So we have rethought and taken care of the language and the presentation of the themes, avoiding, comfortable language or the pastoral criterion of it has always been done this way. We wanted the very title of the program be attractive. As we read in number 36, at times we have also proposed a far too abstract and almost artificial theological idea of marriage, far removed from the concrete situations of practical possibilities of real life, real families. Where have the family schools been held? In many parishes for parents of children in catechesis, parents who in many cases only went to church to take their children to catechesis, or how a session of family school is carried out. Well, the topic is presented by a couple who have prepared it. The topics of schools, family schools 1 and 2 also been recorded in digital format. After the topic, a practical case study is presented in relation to the topic, and the participants answer the different questions that are posed. At the end of the session, parents take away a booklet summarizing what was covered in this session. Children also attend a session prepared for them. Why do we encourage all dioceses to hold family schools? Because in our diocese of Toledo, Spain, where they have been held, there has been a group of families who have consolidated and continue with the desire to spend time together, both in formation and leisure. Furthermore, they have seen the need for God to occupy an important place in their family, and therefore we can say that the family schools are a key tool for the evangelization of families, starting from the families themselves, as they make AL 201 a reality. This effort is not just a merely theoretical message without connection to people's real problems. The family schools fulfill the objective of making it clear that the gospel of the family responds to the deepest expectations of the human person, a response to each one's dignity and fulfillment in reciprocity, communion, and fruitfulness, as we read in Amoris Laetitia 201. Thank you very much.